morning everyone. So in this session we are discussing about this revision of this chapter 1, which is a basic introduction about this computer network, and we discussing about this a transmission medium value zone. So in this session we are focusing about this what we discussed in the previous session. So in the previous session we are discussing about this a list of applications of network, which means in the network communication what kind of communications we are using, what kind of applications we are using the network. So for example, we are going to generate one kind of network, we are going to develop the one kind of network architecture value. So what is advantage of this while we establishing the one network value? For example, we are establishing this one kind of network services. So under this network, how many services are there, how many client services are there, how many services are we are using to, whether it's a go for a client server model or as a server model. So how the information is transmitted between the server and client model, and client model, and server model. So those kind of applications are we discussed in the previous session. Because when we go for this applications of a network, because when the information is transmitted from this server to client model, because the information is transmitted from this one end to another end, how much amount of information accuracy is there, and what kind of delay services are there, all these things comes to the network architecture values only. Because while we establish network architecture, what kind of gateways we are using that one, what kind of bridges we are using that one, all these things comes to the picture. Because while we establish network, because I assume that one, so we are establishing one kind of network architecture. In this network architecture, 10 members of clients are there. We having as 10 clients are there. Client 1, 2. Similarly, we having as 10 clients are there. So this network can able to accommodate 10 different channels are there. Right. At a time, they can able to operate 10 different channels are there. If 11th channel is entering into this network, so what kind of situations we are facing that one? So what kind of gateways we are producing that one, and what kind of bridges we can able to operate to handle this 11th structure? How can we operate? So if all the channels are engaged, all the channels are busy, so we are passing information to the 11th channel. Due to this, clients are busy with the network. So wait for some random amount of time. Or else, if any channel is free, so we can allocate that amount of frequency to channel 1 instead to be shifting into channel 11. So that kind of network architecture we establishing between these model values only. That we calling as a list of applications of network. Because while we establishing the one kind of compute network, any kind of architecture values, we'll go for this client and server model or server and server model. Is network architecture is a plays a vital role to accommodate the signals, accommodate the channel to n number of client values only. That is a very important for us. And second one is we are think about this a reference model. So in the reference model we have two things are there. One is OSI reference model, and second one is TCP/IP reference model. So what is OSI reference model? So OSI in the sense a open system interconnection reference model, and TCP/IP in the sense a transmission control protocol with internet protocol. So while the network establishing, in the here I'm saying that one, we are establishing a one kind of network, but how the network is establishing based upon this OSI and TCP/IP reference model, we are going to establishing the network values only. When establishing the network architecture path values only. So in the OSI reference model, we having as a 7 layers are there, but in the TCP/IP model, we having as a 4 to 5 layers are there. As per the requirement, we are using other 4 layers and as well as 5 layer values only. But in the OSI model, we are using this 7 layer values only. What is advantage of the 7 layer? Because while establishing the 7 layer, each and every layer having as a one particular advantage is there. For example, we having as a physical layer is there. Physical layer is transmit information in the form of this a binary formation, or else in the form of this analog formation. But in the network architecture, we are using the physical layer that should be in the form of this either binary number, which is 0 and 1. And similarly, we having as a data link layer. So this information is transmitted to encrypted manner, right? Any kind of error handling, all these things comes the picture of this data link layer. Similarly, we having as a local control network layer, which is LLC, logical link control layer, or as a local link control layer, and a MAC layer, medium access control layer, and we having a session layer, presentation layer, application layer. So we having a 7 different layers out there. So each and every layer having as a particular applications and particular advantages out there. So all the layers comes to the picture to establishing the network architecture path values only. that we discuss in the OSA reference model, which is Open System Interconnection Reference Model as well as the TCP/IP reference model. And next one is we discussing about this architecture. What is architecture? Which we calling as a network architecture, which is a local area network, metropolitan area network as well as a wide area network. So in the local area network, which means it should be named in the sense that should be a local kind of communication within the building range or within the a small range of communication we operated. We calling as a local area network. We establish one kind of network architecture. That network architecture can able to accommodate a short range of communication, which is in the within the building range or else within the 10 to 100 meters range kind of structure values only. We can able to establish that kind of network architecture. We calling as a local area network. And next one we calling as a MAN. What is MAN? MAN we calling as a metropolitan area network, which means a long range of communication. The name itself is there, which is a metropolitan area network. So a long range of communication within the towns or within the cities, we establish one kind of architecture that we calling as a MAN network, which means a few range of kilometer range values only, that we calling as a metropolitan area network. And next one is WAN. What is WAN? Is a wide area network. A wide range of network is establishing. We calling as a WAN communication, which is wide area network values only. So we can able to communicate the global world. We can able to communicate the city to cities or state to state or countries to countries. We calling as a wide area network values only, that we discussed in the previous session, which is a LAN connection, MAN connection as well as WAN connection. How the network is establishing and how the information is transmitted through this OSA reference model with help of these architecture values only. And next one we discussing about this connection oriented communication, which is X.225 and frame relay services. So while establishing the connection oriented communication as well as connectionless communication, in the connection oriented and connectionless communication, how the information is transmitted and how much amount of accuracy is there, what is the granularity of the information is transmitted from this transmitter to receiver. So here we mention about this, how much amount of accuracy levels is there, how much amount of efficiency level is there, and how much amount of granularity is there. So we can able discuss in the connection oriented communication as well as in the connectionless communication. So in the connection oriented communication, we are focusing about this different protocols are there, which we focusing about this X.25 protocols, or we focusing about this a frame relay services. Because while we establishing the communication, while establishing the signal is transmitted through connection oriented communication, we need to follow one kind of set of protocol is there, one kind of set of rules and regulation is there. And when the information is transmitted through the wireless communication, the connectionless communication, we need to follow one set of rules and regulations, or one different kinds of protocol is there. So there we focusing about this different kinds of frame relay structure is there. Why? In the sense when information is transmitted from one end to another end, so here all the message we segmented, is fragmented into n number of packets, and those packets are again segmented into n number of frames values only to easily transmitted, and we easily track the information whether the information is successfully transmitted or failed. If any information is failed, any frame is failed, we go for this retransmission of this particular frame values only. Instead of transmitting the entire message, we stick into the restricted frame values only. So because of that reason, the time this decreases, the information rate is very faster. If any damages occur, we revertly in the simple manner values only. So cost also reduces on this way. And next one is we discussing about this TCP/IP reference model, and in this model we discussing each and every layer is detailed, because when discussing about this OSI reference model, TCP/IP reference model, apparently both the layers are similar values only, but in the TCP reference model, in the OSI model we having 7 layers, but in the TCP/IP reference model we having as a 4 to 5 layers are there. So how we compress this 4 to 5 layers? Assume that one in the physical layer, in the TCP OSI layer we having as a physical layer is there as well as a data link layer. So what these two layers is working in the OSI reference model, that should be comes to the physical layer in the OSI reference model. For example, in the physical layer of this OSI model, what do we do? This layer is able to communicate the information in the form of this binary number, either 0 and 1, from one layer of one end layer to the source to the other end layer of the receiver values only. And this data link layer is generally used for error correction values, and error detection values only. Data link layer is generally used for error correction values as well as error detection values. So if any error is occurred when information is transmitted or information is received, any error may occur. So with the help of the data link layer, we can able to detect the error and we can able to rectify the error. Either we go for this retransmission, either we go for this bit stuffing or binary stuffing to recover the error values only. We are using that structure values only. So what are the things may do in the VSA reference model? The same thing may work in the TCP/IP reference model. We can able to merge the layers. We merge the two layers into the single layer and we forming as one kind of network architecture that we calling as a TCP/IP reference model, which we calling as a transmission control protocol and internet protocol. The name itself is there, the transmission control protocol. We can able to control the transmission because assume that, for example, the source's transmission is very faster, right? A source is transmitter per second transmit 10 bits per second. The source is transmitted, but the receiver, the destination, it may take very slow. It may receive 5 bits per second. So based upon the faster transmission, slow receiver, some amount of information may damage, some amount of information may jumped or skipped. So because of that reason, I can't able to decrypt the information in the end section. So that kind of transmission control mechanism also we are using in the TCP/IP reference model. That is one of the advantage of this internet protocol values, which is a transmission control protocol values only. So it may control the transmission rate values only, which we calling as a flow control mechanism also feasible we having in the a transmission control protocol. And the next one we calling as a, then we discussing about this guided transmission media. So in the when you go for this physical layer, in the nowadays the world is changing into the digitalized manner in the wireless communication. So when the signal is transmitted, when you go for the physical layer, we are using that one physical layer in the OS reference model or else in the TCP/IP reference model. So here the thing is connected to the guided medium values only, guided medium to one another medium, one transmitter guided medium to a receiver guided medium. So that feasibility we have that one. So in the guided transmission media, we go for this a wide media or else a wireless media. We go for this guided media or unguided media. That can be we are using the physical layer values only. So when the information is transmitted through the guided media and unguided medium values, how much amount of information is transmitted, what is the bandwidth we are use that one, and how much amount of delay is there, and how much amount of frequency rate the signal is transmitted. All these things we analyze in the physical layer values only. So assume that one. So here I can able to establish in the one network architecture. So what is the main outcome of this chapter 1 in the compute network? The main outcome of this compute network, we are going to establish in the one network architecture. We are focusing about this, what kind of internet protocol we are using that one, and after this one, what kind of guided transmission we are using that one. Based upon this one, we are choosing the respective frequency value and respective internet protocol values. Once we are establishing these structure values only, we analyzing about what is the client values and what is the server values, because how many channels we are able to accommodate that one, because while we choose the frequency value, how many channels we can able to accommodate based upon the requirement perspective, we are going to choose the respective frequency of source and client, server and client values only. So once we establishing comes to this picture values only, then we go for this the network architecture. What is network architecture here? What kind of communication we are establishing? We'll go for this short range communication or long range communication. There we are establishing either LAN, MAN or WAN connection. Assume that one. For example, I can able to send the information. I can able to send the information to Bluetooth. Right. I can able to transmit information. Nowadays the world is changing. With the help of this mobile phones, we can able to operate the lights or the fans or else AC. All the things are operated through the Bluetooth communication, or else the Wi-Fi communication is feasible we have in the our mobile phone communication. So how it is handled? Because our Bluetooth or Wi-Fi module, our mobile phone Bluetooth or Wi-Fi module is interlinked to our system modules, either the lights or fans or AC, whatever it is. So here the mobile phone acting as a server and all these are acting as our clients. We will go for this lights or we go for this fan controls or we go for this AC control, which is all the things are acting as a remote kind of service. Also feasibility we have that one. So while the client and server model we establishing is there. So here one kind of network architecture we created here with help of this my Bluetooth or Wi-Fi modules. So that network architecture is interfaced or sync up to the network architecture. So that kind of visible we have that one. So in this computer architecture in the physical medium values, so either I'm using this Bluetooth module or a Wi-Fi modules. After we establish the one network architecture completely, then I can able to understand, I can able to control the things. So that is the Internet of Things also feasible with help of this a data communication, which we calling as a computer network, which is feasible to our values only. So that is the one of the major advantage which we used in the computer network. So think it this way, like understand the concepts of this computer network. So we are able to understand the applications of network, and we are able to understand the OSI reference model and similar TCP/IP reference model. And with help of this one, we can able to organize, we can able to develop the connection, we can able to establish network architecture path that should be the LAN connections or MAN connections or WAN connections. We can able to accommodate, we can able to control the things through some kind of Wi-Fi communication. So that kind of Internet of Things also feasible with we understand the concepts of this computer network. So what is the computer network concepts? We need to focus on this one. One is TCP/IP reference model. Second one is OSI reference model, as well as what kind of architecture, whether LAN architecture or MAN architecture or WAN architecture. Once we understand and we create this network architecture with help of these layers, we can able to accommodate the information transmitter. We can able to control the things. What is the things here? The applications of network. What is applications of networks here? What kind of things we are using that? We can able to control the lights. We can able to control the TV or ACs. Whatever the things we control the comes the picture under the one network, the LAN network or MAN network or a WAN network. So that should be we can able to accommodate the things values only. That we having as the thing the computer network values only. So that is the major advantage of this computer network. So what we discussed in the previous sessions when discussing about the computer network, from the session 1 to till the sessions, we are focusing about all kind of network architectures and how do we develop that one, and what kind of gateways we are using that one, what kind of bridges we are using that one, and what kind of network hubs we are using that one. All these things to establishing the bridge values only, to establishing the network values only. That is the advantage of this computer network. So with the help of this computer network, we can able to accommodate the things values only. That should be in the form of this guided transmission media, or we go for this unguided transmission media, which we can able to operate through some kind of physical presence of cable or else some kind of antenna structure values only, using this wireless communication path values only. So all these things which we learn in this session. Thank you.